Welcome back to another episode of Podcast P, a Wave Sports and Entertainment original, presented to you by Prize Picks. And today we have probably the ultimate guest on the show today. This man right here is the original PG. He's the king of fish. Sorry, Kareem, but he's the king of the hook. My old man, Pops.
Pops,
Thank you.
What's up, Pops?
Hey, it's all good. It's all good.
We're glad to have you on the show, man.
Thank you guys for having me. Thank y'all very much.
You representing right now.
That is a real father.
DP. That's it.
He's got it all.
That's it.
How you like the set?
It's nice. It's nice. My first time here. You know, it's kind of dope how y'all, just have it, just a little section and then on the tube, it looked like it's bigger than what it is.
It's bigger, yep.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
A little intimate space. We come in, I think that's why it helps the guests kind of feel more included with what we're doing because it is like an intimate setting,
like a little man cave.
Exactly.
Like your man cave.
Yeah, it used to be.
The king of man cave.
No, I didn't move now, so, the cave got to get made again.
Okay, so, Pops used to have the coldest
it's
man
cave-ish, though. You still,
I got a few little pictures on the wall, but, like the old man cave, it was like...
It was decked out.
Like everywhere you look, like it was something there.
I want to ask y'all this before. What makes a man cave a man cave? Like really makes it the man cave? Like what part of the man cave?
Because you I feel that you putting all your stuff in there.
Yeah.
So this is my cave.
I think it's like one space in the whole house that like you get to decide what goes in there. Like the wife gets to design the rest of the house, and then you just get that one area where you get to do as you please.
Chill with you. I dig that. Well, before we ask any other questions, Paul, we got to get this off the meter rack right here because we done had millions of times on this show talking about this boy playing his first basketball game in some jean shorts. Now, you're going to have to help us out with this one, Papa. The fans want to know, we all want to know, why did you let this man, this boy, go to his first game in some jean shorts that was cut up and with holes in them and stuff? Because this is a story that he has told us plenty of times. He was out playing. You picked him up and said, you got a game today. And you just said, get in the car. Didn't change, didn't get no shorts. Nothing. Please explain this day to us, please.
Actually, I don't remember that. I don't remember that one.
Please, this is what you told us.
Yeah. Nah, this was, so Brignac,
okay.
I remember you told me leading up to it that I was going to be on this team, right?
Yeah.
But I didn't know when. I never practiced with the team. The season had already started. So I was the new addition.
Okay.
And Brignac had a spot for me on the team.
Yeah.
Shout out Michael Brignac.
Yes.
And I remember, I didn't know where I was going. We went to this school. I had jean shorts on at the time. I didn't have a jersey then. They just handed me whatever they had. Okay. And I played this game.
It's starting to come back now.
Yeah. Okay. And it was just, I don't know, I was nervous. Like it was a surreal moment just being out there.
Well, I mean, at that time, like was at the Spur, and like we had to leave.
Mm-hmm.
So, and he was outside already, doing his thing. I think he was down the street playing, and I pulled up.
Mm-hmm.
And Michael had called me and said, hey, bring your son in. And so when I gets there, I'm thinking, I didn't think he was going to be playing or nothing. I'm thinking, he's going to come in, kind of, meet everybody and all that. But soon we get in there, like you said, they here. But it was funny because he got in there and he did good. He did good. They were like, hey, tomorrow, bring the same outfit. But he at the age of 5 or 6 years old, he was pulling on me and said, Dad, I'm going to be a pro basketball player. And I'm like, okay, all right. I said, but for right now, can you take out the trash? And he just, went on. But always loved basketball.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good thing. I need you to let us know too, Pop. A lot of people probably don't even know this. It's a lot of variations of the PGs.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of them. You got the PG, you got Paul George, the first Paul George, the second. How many Paul Georges is it in this world? Please let us know what number you are.
I'm at number 4.
You number 4?
I'm number 4.
So obviously this is number 5.
Number 5.
And Vuk is number 6.
And his son number 6.
Now, please tell us how y'all kept this going. What made y'all have?
Well, my grandfather, his name was Paul George.
Okay.
And then my dad, he was the first child, so he was a junior.
Okay.
And then my dad, they had like another son, like before me. And then he passed away. I think he was like 6 months old. Back then they called it
like crib death, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so he passed away. So when I came along, he still wanted a Paul George. So that's how I became another Paul George.
And then, of
course, Paul and then his son.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 6 of us now.
So Loki would have been 7.
That's crazy.
I
didn't even know that.
Well,
yeah, he would have been 6.
Yeah.
Well, my name would have been something else.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I did.
Yeah, like the older brother would have lived. But
now we got to see if Vuk gonna keep it going.
He got to.
Yeah,
he better keep it going. Dang,
I remember the funny story about it when I was trying to come up with names or what I was gonna name Vuk.
Uh-huh.
And it just, I don't know, it didn't sit right. Just having a conversation with you, I just felt like you was like, boy, you better name him.
Yeah, I'm like, wait a minute.
I know what you should name him.
I mean, it was a lot of pressure. And especially when he was walking the ropes with it, like, and I'm like, it gotta be PG, you know, it gotta be PG.
Yeah, thank God for that.
So he didn't tell me until, when the baby was born. He said,
Right.
yeah,
It's
Dad.
too late.
No,
He couldn't go back. Yeah.
No, he was like, yeah, Dad, this is PG-6 here. I'm, oh, okay.
Like you said, thanks for Daniela.
Yeah, thanks for Daniela, like, just accepting of, like, she was all supportive of it. Like, I think it should be another Paul George.
Mm-hmm.
But, for me, it was more so the thing of, like, I know when the parent is high profile and then now the kid shares the same name, the pressure that comes behind that. And so I was just trying to, alleviate that and just give him his own identity.
Right.
But it worked out, it worked out the way it should have worked out.
And he loves that name. Yeah, he loves it.
We know. Paul George.
Paul George.
Paul George
he can
all
be walking
day.
down the sidewalk. Paul George.
I seen your new video you put with the slight crossover.
Yeah. With the bucket.
Oh, man.
I'm saying, look at
But now he loves, like, he watches all the like commercials and the Gatorade commercials I did. And he'll like dunk and he'll be like, like he'll follow the whole commercial. It's funny, man. It's funny.
Wow.
Pops, you just mentioned that after that game, you kind of knew that he enjoyed playing basketball. But do you have any other stories or moments of him as a child where you'd look at him and go like, okay, like my son really loves basketball?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a few times. It wasn't, when he first started playing for like the Y. And so, I would be sitting in the stands and, and it's a game going on. And I'm sitting there and I think your number was number 25 at the time. And so I'm sitting there and I think one of my friends had came to one of the games with me, little Fred. And we sitting there and I'm hearing other parents saying, wow, look at that kid over there, number 25. he just more advanced than all the other kids out there. And then and I'm sitting there, I'm hearing all this, going on. And then my buddy Fred, he was, hit me like, oh, they talking about your son out there. I'm looking, I say, okay, yeah, he got some moves out there, So, they went on and won and all that, so. And I'm just looking at him. I'm like, maybe he do got something here. And then the next game, and then, once the little season was over with, everybody knew him.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't know like the other kids' names on the team, but they do number 25. They were like, this little kid right here, he's gonna go somewhere. So that was a few times where it kind of like a bell kind of went off. Like I think he. Yeah, And then as he got older and started playing in high school and his sister played.
That's right where we was going. That's perfect. Keep going.
And his sister, he was kind of jealous of her because she was in the newspapers.
P always tell us that she was better than he. She helped.
She was.
She helped him get better.
She was. I mean,
y'all don't understand like Teosha's rise. They don't understand like Teosha's rise. Like Teosha was every day in the papers. Like literally every day. They might not even play.
But she was in the papers.
She was in the papers.
Yes.
Like,
And she was on the front page. And so Paul would look at it and he would like, okay. She's getting all this attention. So he would go outside with his basketball, work. And then he started growing. And once he started growing, he started catching up to her.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So she would come in the house mad now.
Mm-hmm. Are this them playing one-on-one basketball with each other? Okay.
Yeah. So they still outside, in the street, on the street playing ball and all that.
Wait, so Teosha used to whip his butt all the time?
Yeah, till he got up close to her height.
To her height.
Yeah.
And then he started beating her.
And then he was on her after that.
What was his first reaction when he got that first win?
Oh, man.
From her? What was that first? I know he came in the house
She
running.
couldn't talk no more. She couldn't say, shut up, go sit down, none of that. He like, okay. And then he'd grab the basketball and he'd look at her like, huh? You want to go out? And if she wasn't busy or, she would go out there and they would, they would be going at it back and forth. But then, like it had other kids on the block that was older. And I think that's what Paul really put in like a lot of work because he was starting to get tall, but he didn't really have it like that. And then the older kids, of course, they was putting it on him. They were like, oh, this kid is my height. You ought to be close to my age. So they would put it on him. And after the bell went off, he was weighing them out. They were like, no, I don't want to play no more. You know what I'm saying? So he just put in a lot of work, lot of work. And I'm thinking he was going to be real, real tall. I'm saying he's going to be tall. So he liked the basketball. So I'm thinking, okay, he's going to play center. So I'm buying, and then at the time, Shaq was the man. He was with the Magic. And I'm buying all kind of Magic, number 44. I think number was 44 or something like that. 34.
He was 32. He was 32 in Magic.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm buying everything Magic, And so Paul's looking at me. He's like, Dad, I know you like Shaq and all that, but he said, I am not going to play no center. I'm like, and I'm trying to tell him, I said, look, son, I go, I see you going to be kind of tall, so you might want to try to play center, stick on that, And he was like, no. Every day he was out there dribbling the ball. He was dribbling, walking to school, dribbling, walking back home from school.
Yeah.
So he just got in his dribbling handles and all that. And it's funny because when he was playing high school, he was getting more rebounds as far as in the center. The center look at him like, go get it, Paul. You know what I mean?
How tall was your center back then?
Paul was taller than him.
My senior year, he was short. Chris was probably like 6'3" at the time, and I was probably 6'7", 6'8". Yeah. And I was like the point guard pretty much.
What?
So yeah, I was pretty much point center. Like Chris was our center. Chris Shaw, shout out Chris Shaw.
Yeah.
Chris Shaw, he was our center. He was like 6'3", but he was bouncy.
Yeah.
For 6'3", he played like he was 6'10".
Right?
Like he could get off the ground quick.
Yeah,
he was bouncy. But yeah, I was kind of do a little bit of everything.
How old were you when you knew you didn't want to be a center? Like, how young were you?
Oh, as he said, I was.
Yeah, even when he was playing for like the Y. He didn't play center.
That moment.
But he was
just
taller
because
than
you
all
didn't
of them.
want
But you had something against being a center or
well,
something?
that's wise behind your ears because that, most of the time when the kids are tall, it's like, no, you're going to sit down here. For you didn't like just not want to play center for no. I don't think at the time you were like, no, I want to be able to dribble good. And like you just knew like that wasn't for you.
That wasn't for me. Like, I think the reason I fell in love with basketball was because I watched Kobe. Like, I was watching Tracy McGrady. And that was that's who I wanted to play like. You know what I mean? I didn't look at Shaq. I didn't look at KG. I didn't look at Tim Duncan. Like, I didn't look at these guys as like, oh, like they're posting up or they're dunking on people like from the block. Like I didn't look at them as like, oh, that's what I want to do. I was watching Kobe, how they played on the perimeter, how they dribbled. And then at that time, and one was huge.
Right.
And so I'm out there working on my handles. I'm trying to do tricks at the park. I'm doing all of that. Throw it between the legs. Like, you know, so I think that's just kind of where the mindset developed. And it was kind of like to myself, like if I'm gonna play this game, I'm gonna play it how I want to play it. And that's kind of just how it all developed as like, how's this tall dude got handles? Like how? Because I was, you know, at that age, it's kind of like an oxymoron. Like you don't see the tallest kid playing point guard. You know what I mean? In the neighborhood, but I was our best ball handler, and I was head and shoulders above the next kid. And so it's just kind of how it developed.
And just to follow up, Pops, like because P has explained to us that were you super into basketball? And Paul kind of gives the credit to his sister. Where did she fall in love with basketball? You know, if it didn't come from you guys, how come she got into loving basketball so much?
Well, I mean, I did love basketball. I mean, I do love basketball. I mean, but I didn't push it on my kids. My daughter came up to me and she said, Dad, you know, I want to play basketball. She was starting to get, you know, starting to grow. And she was telling me, like all her friends telling her, you know, she ought to try out for the team. She had no clue of playing, you know, ball, you know, so she got into it. And when she got into it, I seen that she really liked it. And that's how she got started. And then Paul, he pretty much told me that, you know, he came and, you know, and he said, hey, Dad, like I want to, you know, play basketball. And then one of my friends, he was starting to coach, and then his son was starting to play too. So, you know, he kind of helped me out times when I couldn't, you know, get Paul there. He would come by and he would pick Paul up, you know, and he would take him to practice and stuff like that. But both of them pretty much, you know, raised their hand up and say, hey, you know what, like I want to play. You know, but I have seen parents out there where they, you know, push. I mean, and then you can see that it really gets to, you know, the kid. Yeah, you know. But I didn't, you know, I let them come to me and they say, hey, you know what, you know, like I want to play this game.
What sport did you play though, Pops? I want to know what sport
I wasn't good in none of them. I'll tell you that.
Do you see any of their athletes?
Can you share the football story?
I want to know what sport you done played.
Football.
Yeah. Actually, I played football against John Elway back in the day.
Drop the name, Pop.
But I didn't. I mean, I didn't actually play with him, but I was there. You know, but at the time, the coach didn't send me in.
Granada High, right?
Huh?
Didn't he play at Granada?
Yes.
Granada High.
And then I was at San Fernando High.
There we go.
But yeah, this one game, it was the first game that my dad came to. So I'm out there.
It's already funny.
I played tight end.
Okay.
And this one kid, every play, he was just putting me down. So the next huddle, they come up to me and they said, Paul, we gonna come on your side, but you got to stop this guy. So and this guy was bigger than me. He was taller than me and bigger than me. So I'm like, damn, I said, do I got some help? And they said, no, you can hang, you can get him. So we break, gets down, I'm looking at him, and I'm saying, boy, please help me. So when they said, hike, I closed my eyes and I just went after him. Boom. And they started running. They started coming my way and I could feel them coming. So I'm running and there he is. He didn't go nowhere. He was right there on me. And so I just leashed out and I tackled and I knew I had him. And next thing I'm hearing somebody pat me on top of my helmet. And they say, let him go. And so I opened up my eyes and I say, that ain't the guy. I'm starting to see stripes.
He tackled
I didn't tackle the ref.
You tackled the ref.
I tackled the ref. And
you tackled the ref.
I tackled the ref. And then the ref was hitting me on top of my helmet. He said, "Son, let me go, let me go." And so when I let him go, he got up and he dusting himself off and he's cussing at me. And he said, "I ain't never had this happen to me." And I could hear all the fans laughing. I could hear my coach over there, "George," he's yelling. He done threw down the doggone tablet book or whatever, the playbook. So when I looks up, I see him do like this, like, I get to the sideline. And I never took my helmet off, And before I would take my helmet off, right, when I come out the game. I wouldn't
neither. You was a shield.
I think I kept my helmet on all the way when I rode home. I mean, and this was on a Friday, okay? No, this was on a Thursday. I didn't go to school Friday. It was probably Tuesday when I showed back up. Oh my God. And everybody was like, "Man, what were you thinking?"
So you ain't never played those sports after that?
And no, I mean, but I still, I played, but I think I was in the 11th grade, so I had about another year. And but I was just getting into in the football, as far as in team ball. So then the following year, of course, all of the starters had left. And they came back to me, "Hey, Paul, you want to play?" I go, "No, I am not playing. You guys ain't finna make a fool of me again." And then my dad, he just, and then on the way home, he was just quiet. I mean, we couldn't make a conversation for nothing, And then my little brother, Jeff, at the time, he was in the back seat just rubbing it in.
Yeah.
How did you tackle the ref? And I at that time I wanted to take my helmet off and hit him upside the head with it. But that was one of the moments.
That's funny.
Good. That's good.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Well, Dad, I just want to say I appreciate you for just supporting me through my dreams. Mom as well. I think the greatest credit to a parent is just the sacrifice they make for their kids to succeed. And you guys did that obviously with myself, with Teosha, with Port. Like, what's some of the things growing up that I probably don't even know about? Sacrifices you made just for me to be able to play the game that I love, to play basketball. Because I know, what I do know is like the times I would reach out like, "Hey, Dad, we need this, we need that, we need shoes." Like I never felt that I didn't have what I needed ever at any point. And I know how, just difficult it is with, especially back in those days of, resources being limited. But again, I never felt I didn't have what I needed to go out and play. But
it wasn't easy, especially when all y'all started playing sports.
Exactly. But what's some of the...
One come up to me, "Hey, Dad, I want to play this." Huh? Yeah, I mean, it was hard because I was the only one working. And, and I didn't want them just being out there and not having it. Mm. So, I mean, I used to have to put in a lot of work, a lot of hours. So there was a lot of times where I wasn't there because I was at work, making sure that they had this and had that. Mm-hmm. But I made it very clear when they all three of them came to me. And they say, "Hey, I want to play sports." I'm saying, "Okay, well, you better give it 100% because I don't have money just to be, y'all just want to be on the fashion, I'm on the basketball, I want these sneakers and that sneakers." But me and him used to bump heads on the sneakers. He was into Iversons at the time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I like the Converse, but and the price was nice too,
You see Pop rocking them today. Pop,
like $20. The Julius Erving.
And so I think I got him like a pair, and he had wore them down. He wanted another pair. And I said, "Well, I think they were like $70, $80 at the time." I said, "Well, I don't have that, but I got 50. I can get you a pair of Converse." And he didn't want them, but I still got them. And he did not wear those. I mean, he wore his shoes till he was on his feet again. And he did not wear them.
Yeah.
But yeah, we used to bump heads on what kind of gear that he wanted, you know. Sometimes I could get it and sometimes I couldn't, you know. But I mean, it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy, but we did what we did, you know. So
that is funny because I remember those. I had them Converse and something about them, I just could not touch them. You know, they was the freshest shoes in my closet. And for some reason at that time, like Converse weren't for me. Couldn't wear them. Now hindsight, like I love Converse. Like,
well, that's the shoes that we played in. You know, these here.
Yeah,
we didn't have all them fancy shoes they got now.
Did they play the low top ones or just the high top ones back then?
The high top ones.
The high top. They didn't have low top ones, right? Did they?
I'm sure they did.
Yeah. Low top.
It's crazy that people used to play in those.
I know.
That is tough.
That's a tough
Looking back on it now, you could maybe
dunking
understand.
and slamming and all that, and you come down on these little things here and be like, oh, man.
Yeah, it's
you're looking for trouble.
They just loose.
They just loose. I mean, and at that time, like, people didn't know how to take care of their bodies. And,
that's right. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But they were out there doing it.
They were doing it.
They were doing it. I know them feet had to hurt.
They were doing it.
I feel like my ankle broke right now. Anyway, this next segment of the show is called The Connect, sponsored by AT&T. Stay connected to what matters the most with AT&T. All right, now we connecting generations, and since you hear Pop, you know it's a new era of the sport and everything, but the other day, Anthony Edwards said back in the day, Jordan in his era was the only one that had skills in his era compared to what's now. So I want to ask you, since you here with us and P is here, what do all y'all think about them comments that Anthony Edwards said about Jordan having the only skill in his era?
I'll let Pops go first, but
he's saying Jordan had this.
Yeah, so he said Jordan was the only one that had skill. Yeah. I get what he was trying to say, but I don't get what he was trying to say in the same like.
Well, I mean, if I mean, back in the day, I'm trying to remember. Jordan went through a lot of losing before he started winning, until he started getting the right pieces.
Right.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Jordan was the man, you know. But I can't say. I mean, he had all of the talent. I mean, he was the most talented. But he was at the top. Yeah. Yeah, that's all.
Is anybody else you'll put on that list in his era that you would say it was his competition that was, I can put him on that list, you know?
Well, yeah, I mean, Magic, Bird, I mean, Doctor.
I'm about to say your boy now, come on now. I was waiting on your boy.
Now, Doctor was my man. I mean, now on a 101, I would do a doctor on you all day. I would stick my tongue out, fly, all that. I mean, and then had the big fro. You know, I was Dr. J. But
light-skinned version.
Yeah, light-skinned doctor. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, if I would have liked to seen Doctor and Jordan all around the same age. And they, you know, on the court.
You mentioned Magic Johnson, and Magic Johnson actually was just asked this question, like, hey, what do you think about Anthony Edwards? Did you guys see that?
Yeah, I saw that.
And Magic Johnson answered it like, well, I don't really pay attention to anyone that hasn't won a championship yet. I don't think he won in college. I don't think he won in high school. So Magic shut that down real quick. I love that response.
Yeah, I thought it was. I thought it was a kind of disrespectful to the game. I thought it was a very immature comment. Obviously, Anthony Edwards is super talented.
Yes, he is.
And is a huge talent going forward. But just how much the game has grown and how far, like, you got to pay dues to those dudes that did it before us. And I think that's just where the transition or the translation between that era and his era, they don't really know, you know, too much of Magic and Bird, like, you know, I think, you know, as players, like, you got to know the guys, you know.
That came before.
Like Barkley said.
But I think his comment was more so geared towards, like, because obviously MJ is moving how guys move in this era today.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I think that was kind of like where he was going with it, as far as the movement and the explosiveness, the athleticism, and being able to contort your body, playing like, you know, Jordan was in a different, you know, in terms of playing like that, how guys play today.
Yeah.
So I think that was kind of where Anthony Edwards, you know, when you're young, you don't really necessarily know how to, you know, articulate that, or, you know, maybe it was, you know, he should have fully explained what he was trying to say. But if I don't know, I'm putting words in his mouth at this point, but I'm thinking that's what he was trying to go towards.
I was going to ask you, because I was thinking the same thing. He used the word skill, though.
Yeah.
But it brings up the question, like, do you think that there was a bigger gap with Jordan just on the athleticism side against his competition? Was that gap bigger than the skill side? Because I think he was more skilled.
I think he was
more athletic.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? But which
was,
one had the bigger gap?
I think he was a combo of both, obviously. But I think, because I mean, you look at his work of art, right? Like, you look at his first year in the league. You know, he was putting up crazy numbers as a rookie. Then he had a stretch where he was putting up 60s, 50s, like, and he was just running circles around people. He couldn't win early on because it was a team game, and back then it was just physical, and you know, so he needed the pieces to start winning. But as far as him as the talent, like, he was running, you know, he could do it whatever he want. You know, people doubling me or not, people pushing me to the ground or not, like, I'm gonna do what I want because I'm more athletic, I'm more skilled, I can jump higher than you, you know, I can sky over you, you know, my hands are big.
I got
like
a fade away, that's stupid.
Yeah, I got a fade. Like, if you want to come double me, I'ma just post up right here and just jump over top of you. So I don't know. I think it was a bit of both. Like, it was a bit of both. He was more talented from a skill set standpoint, and he was more athletic than everybody.
Yeah.
Like you say, he's young. He don't know. That's just like if we was to ask Jordan at his time, who was his favorite skill player? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Growing up and all that type of stuff. So,
well,
you know, he had his opinion.
I have been hearing, like, you know, like on the sports channels, a lot of people are starting to say he's another Jordan. So maybe that got in his head, you know, and he want to spit out something like that, you know. But I mean, you know, he really got to do his homework.
Yeah.
I mean, but now don't get me wrong, Jordan, you know, I mean, like, you really got to pack a lunch. For the
You gotta really pack a lunch.
I mean, for the really, you know, jump on the court with him.
Right.
But in my eyes, I mean, like I say, Magic, Bird, and then Dr. J.
Dr. J, you got
and it's a few of them that
Yeah.
you know, I can't really think of right now. But but I think Jordan was a little bit like at the top of them, but he wasn't away from them, you know.
Gotcha.
But Magic was bad too back in the day, you know, with the no-look passes. I mean, nobody wasn't doing that.
Right.
Be that tall.
Until he came in. Yeah, coming down
guard.
there, he'd look that way and the ball going this way.
Right.
You know.
Right.
And then, you know, and then Magic made it look like he was out there having fun.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you know, he grinning and laughing, you know, the whole time. You know, so Magic really brung a lot of people in. And then, you know, Bird and him really saved the doggone NBA, you know, because them two was always going at it.
Yeah.
Just to follow up on the athleticism side, because you just talked about how you played football, but how were you, like, as an athlete? Like, were you a freak athlete too? Like, could you dunk and do all that kind of stuff? You said you were Dr. J. Like, what kind of athlete were you? Like, what?
Yeah, you could do that.
Hell no, I couldn't do none of that.
I think, then where did he get it from? Where did Paul get his athleticism from, if it wasn't from you?
Well, I think because I wanted to be an athlete so much to where it just, I think some powers just went off into him. I mean, because even my friends to the day right now,
Like,
you know, time they see me, they're like, man, you ain't nothing like your son. You know, I could barely even dribble the ball. You know, I mean, back then, you know, I was starting to grow, so I think my height, and they were like, you know, you ought to be a basketball player. But I mean, when I was coming up, that's all we had was, go play outside. Basketball, football, basketball.
But all them uncles and your brothers, nobody knew how to play ball?
We all played ball. We played street
uncles
ball.
Is it?
Well, my brothers you talking about?
Yeah, your brother.
It's 4 of us.
And none of y'all could play ball?
Yeah, I mean, my younger brother played basketball, and then my younger brother, Derek, he played football. But yeah, I mean, we played sports, but we wasn't
good enough to teach.
we wasn't good enough to take it to that next level.
It's crazy how it worked, because you always hear, like, again, I always mention them, but like Drew's parents were athletes. You know what I mean? So it makes sense why Drew and their whole family are good athletes.
I get it.
But then you get sometimes where it's like, nope, like I wasn't doing any of that, and he's a professional athlete.
Pops was tackling.
I mean, I was on the court every day. I mean, I was on the playground, but
still tripping off.
I just wasn't talented enough. I just wasn't talented enough.
Yeah.
So when P gets to high school, it's his senior season, and he starts to get noticed by colleges. What was that process like for you as a dad, kind of sitting down with P? And I'd like to think you were helping him kind of sort through the different schools and ultimately chose one. But what was that like, helping him out with the colleges?
Well, that was another story there too. I wanted once what Paul want, so I'm backing him up 100%. When colleges were starting to look at him, so we had a few that we went to, and I'm thinking, okay, this is it. This is school he's going to go to. And we get home next day or two, no, he ain't going there. Now, we didn't went to like two or three, schools now, and they are calling me left and right. I mean, they blowing my phone up, what your son gonna do? What you gonna do? I said, look, I don't know yet. We still, he said he was gonna come. I said, well, yeah, but what I'm supposed to do? And I'm telling them on the phone, like, and they pressuring me. I'm like, listen, what I'm supposed to do? And it's, he said, I said, I know what he said. I said, but if he want to come there, he gonna come there. So I go outside and I talk to him. He look at me like, I don't know yet, Dad. Okay. So, but when he went to Fresno, when Fresno came in the picture, I'm walking through Fresno like, nah, I don't think he's gonna come here. And that's the school he wanted to go to. So we wind up, sticking with Fresno. But I was kind of used to it because of his sister. When she was going through it, so we was going through it with her. But it wasn't serious like they were coming after him. Every school was coming after Paul. And then he wanted to stay kind of close to home, Pepperdine. We was thinking he's gonna go there. His older sister, she went there, and we were like, okay, he's gonna go here. And then Pepperdine coach, and I think the Pepperdine coach wound up leaving. And then he had a change of mind. So that was off the list there. So I was like, I just threw my hands up. I was like, hey, whatever you do, I'm cool with it. I said, but don't make any more promises to nobody, you know what I'm saying, until you sure.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's how, because I remember, because most of my big schools was East Coast.
Georgetown.
Yeah, Georgetown, I think.
Pitt.
I'm drawing blanks. No, I think but they were all East Coast. There were some big schools on the list, but they were all East Coast. And for me, I was like, man, ain't no way. Outside of us driving to Texas, we ain't really been outside of California, so it just didn't.
Never flew before either, so I was like,
yeah, so it just didn't seem like it was the spot to go. But yeah, so Pepperdine, Teosha obviously went there, and I pretty much grew up on that campus. So that particular night, they did the Midnight Madness, or when they start the season off. And I'm there and I'm big eyes, like, like loving this. I think I might be the first person that like reached out to the coach, like, hey, I would love to come here. And then them offer me a scholarship the next day. Like that's how it played out.
Coach Westfall. Wasn't his name Westfall?
It was
he played in the
Wahlberg.
league.
It was Vance Wahlberg. Westfall was before.
Yeah, he was
before him?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the coach there was Vance Wahlberg at the time. And I'm watching him. You know, the crowd is going crazy. I'm watching my sister out there, you know, because the girls and the boys both did, I think, something. And I was like, man, like I see myself playing here. And then, yeah, I go up to the coach. Man, I would love to play on the team. Like I would love to be here. Sure enough, they offered me a scholarship. And then I signed my letter of intent. And he leaves, like just out of the blue.
Yeah.
We didn't get no call, no, you know, hey, I'm, you know, at least do me that.
Right.
Like, hey, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
But funny enough, he's the coach now for Fresno State.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
Wait,
Yeah.
really?
Yes.
Wow.
He's the head coach for Fresno State now.
Wow.
They just signed him this summer.
That's good.
So
That's good.
yeah, it's crazy
That's
how
hilarious.
how that
Yeah, I
happens.
did not know that at all. Wow.
Yeah.
Was there a school that you wanted him to go? Like if it was up to you in the back of your mind, I know you're backing him 100%, but was there a school that you were like, I want him to go there?
I mean, really, I was just, you know, following him. I didn't really have a certain school. I was just glad that he was getting a scholarship, you know. So I was like, you know, and then all the other stuff that came with it, I'm like, wow. But I was just happy, you know, for all of my kids. You know, they played sports and all that. You know, I was, you know, you getting a scholarship? Oh, wow, you know. But him, I just left it up to Paul, you know, as far as on where he wanted to go. But yeah.
Well, Pops, we know a lot of parents for sure always want their kids to go to school for 4 years. You know what I'm saying? To get their degrees and all this type of stuff. And I just want to know you because I'm a little nosy. I want to know what the conversation was like because PG only did 2 years in college. So, you know, I want to know what was that conversation when he decided to say, yo, Pops, I'm done with school. I'm ready to go to the league.
Well, yeah, we did have that conversation too.
They forced me out.
Yeah.
Please tell us this story. Pop's like, just get to that bag. Just get to the bag. I need some more Chucks.
But it was like
some Stacy's. I need some more Stacy's.
It was like this. I was one of the guys that was helping Paul, Cedric, and he was working Paul out and stuff like that. But he would come in. He had no ties to Fresno or anything, but he would come down and he's seen something in Paul. He would come out and work him out. And so he kept telling me, Paul gonna be a lottery pick. And at the time I wasn't lottery pick, you know, what you talking about? And he's talking about basketball, he's gonna be a lottery pick. I go, huh? And he go, but he needs to leave school this year. And I go, what you mean? He said, Mr. George, he need to quit school. And so I thought about it for about a day.
A day?
And,
a day?
Yeah, I thought about it for about a day. And then me and him have a talk. Me and Paul had a talk. And I said, well, because the following year they was going to have a lockout. And so they were feeding me like, you know, this is his year. He need to come out now. So I'm like, okay. And they coming at me. Like,
Right.
Paul gonna be a lottery pick. This is his year. And so I'm like, okay. So they were coming at me so much, so I'm gonna say, okay, if you don't get picked, and what about his school situation? Well, if he enter, he's gonna lose it. And I go, well, if he don't get picked, then he's just gonna lose all that.
Right.
And I made them say, well, if he lose it, you're going to pay for him to go back to school. And they were pretty much telling me, yeah, okay, all right. I said, okay, now, all right. I mean, you don't want to play with me. You know what I'm saying? So I got it off in his head. Okay, you know, he's been working out, getting ready for the draft and everything. So I look up and I'm trying to find him and I can't find him. So I go on the school, you know, and he's working out with the gym. and he's working like he's finna come back next season. And the coach Cleveland was there. And Coach Cleve, I had been told Coach, like the coach, Paul, this is Paul last season.
Right.
He like, yeah, okay. But he was kind of shining me on. So I go to the school and I see Paul working out. So I looks at him, and when Paul looked at me, looked like he seen a ghost. And I'm like, so he get through talking to whoever he's talking to, and he comes over to me. I said, what are you doing? Oh, Dad, I think I'm gonna stay another season. I said, no. I said, this is the first time I'm telling you to quit school. You were quitting school. And I go, where your coach at? And then the coach started walking over there. I said, Paul ain't coming back. He ain't coming back. He ain't coming back. Then the coach, he was like, oh, all right. He said, well, let's go out to dinner and we'll talk about it. It ain't nothing to talk about. But we'll go to dinner. He took us out to dinner. And we sit there the whole time. I'm looking at him doing like this. No. I had already got it in my head that Paul was going into the NBA.
In the NBA. Yeah. And
I kept saying, this is what you've been dreaming of. Mm-hmm. This is what you've been telling me when you was like this. So I want to go into the NBA. Here it is. I mean, everybody's telling me that they're going to hold the door open for you. Let's close the college door. Mm-hmm. And so he was kind of like 50-50 because I think he didn't really know what to expect. But, I mean, once he was on board with it, he was on then. Mm-hmm. Right. He was on.
Yeah, no, that's all true stories.
Yeah,
all true stories. Because that was all true stories because we had that conversation. For me, it was, you watch the tournament and, we had a pretty talented team, but we didn't figure out how to get to that point yet. And so for me, it was like, I had 2 good seasons there. 3rd year, I'm going to really be the man and really,
That's what the coach was pumping in him.
Yeah. Right. But it was like, now I want to make that tournament run, like really showcase how good I am here at Fresno. So that was the only thing that was the deciding factor of going to the league or going back to school. It was just that opportunity to play in the tournament. And we had that conversation. He was like, you're not coming back. They saying you a lottery pick.
Yeah.
Come on.
Your daddy was like, I would have. If you would have told him, no, he would have whooped your ass. Okay, no, we finna do this now.
Yeah,
no.
And I stopped. I mean, I would work out on campus, but I wasn't going to school. Mm-hmm. I was telling my coaches, hey, I'm just here to work out. Don't worry about me going to classes. I'll finish the little courses. And just, because the school, I think at that point, when you don't finish, the school loses, or I think you gotta finish the academics. I think the credits, or the school will get penalized with scholarships and stuff like that. So I finished out my courses and stuff, doing that online, sending my paperwork in to my teachers. But yeah, once we made that, I left school, went to LA as the season was still going, or the school year was still going, and finished in LA. And I was training.
Yeah.
If Pop got it,
that was it. That was it.
Such a man. It does feel like a long time ago.
It was.
Yeah.
It was a long time. It was 15, 16 years ago.
Yeah. 2009, really 10.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I told this story a draft night. Now we moving along to from working out, preparing for the draft, to now being drafted. We're in New York. This your first time flying to New York, and then the night that we go out after being drafted. Talk to us a little bit from your perspective on how that night went, that 48 hours from you getting a call, we're going to be in the green room in New York, to us going out that night, then to us flying to Indiana that morning. What was that as from a father perspective?
It was like a dream, really. I was like, this is really happening, with the New York. First of all, when he called and said, Dad, get ready, we going to New York. And I go, I go, can I wait here? He goes, no, you got to come with us. You know,
I think the first
because I never flew.
The first question you asked was, "How long is that drive?"
Oh yeah, something like that. Yeah, because
how long is that drive? You must think about that flight. Like, nope.
Yeah, because I normally drive everywhere.
Right.
You know, so I get past that, right? So I'm up. So we actually getting on the plane was that was another chapter there. So we driving up to the airport, and it seemed like I'm looking at every mile, every minute. And we get up there, and gets in there, and this one guy, he's just looking at me, and he's looking at me like he can see something. And and just so happened, I sits by him, and he go, "Everything all right?" And I go, "Huh?" He goes, "Everything all right?" I go, "No." I go, "Man, this is my first time flying." He go, "Oh, you be all right. You're all right." I go, "For real?" He go, "Yeah, you be all right." Then he gets up, and I never see the guy again. He gets up and leaves. And so I'm sitting there, and then somebody else come and they sits down. And every little bump or whatever went on, I was like, oh man, I couldn't wait to land. When we landed, and so we gets there and all that. So I'm like, okay, we land, so we here. But first time being off in New York, I mean, then the fans, it was just so many fans. I never been around that kind of stuff. It was so many fans.
Mm-hmm.
Then I see Marcus Cousins. Okay, that's Marcus Cousins. And I see him with like 2 or 3 cops following him. And I go, what did he do? And they said, no, those cops are following him to make sure he don't mess with nobody, and nobody don't mess with him.
Right.
I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, man. But draft night, it was nervous. You know, we sitting there, we didn't know where he was gonna go, but we know he was gonna be somewhere around in the lottery. So, but Indiana, when he got drafted there, I'm like, first thing I thought about was Miller, Reggie. I'm like, wow, okay, Reggie came from there, you know, Paul, you know, I mean, he had kind of same game, shooting a little bit.
Right.
So I'm like, okay. So we gets there, and I didn't know we had to leave the next day. I'm like, wait a minute, I just got in from flying from there. They said, no, you got to leave first thing in the morning. Huh? So we flies from New York to Indiana, and we gets there, and they got a big old welcome sign up there, welcome Paul George, you know, as you drive down into the tunnel. And soon we get there, they put Paul straight to work. You know, he's got the press and all that. I'm just sitting back, and I'm like, wow, you know, my son, he's a grown man now. You know, he didn't grew up. You know, this is his life. You know, so it was a proud moment that, you know, that you just really can't explain it. You know, you just accept it, you know. But yeah, I mean, every time I sit back and think about that, you know, it just gets you, you know, like, wow. So I, you know, and then from now on, every year, like I watches the draft, and it just takes me back. So I know what the other parents are going through, you know. So I like, wow. But it was, I mean, hey, I can't take away nothing from it. You know, it was all worth it.
Yeah. What advice would you give for new fathers being NBA dads? You talked about watching the draft and reliving that moment for you, but then now, you know, being an NBA dad, what advice you have for like new NBA dads coming into, you know, watching their son live their dream?
Wow, that's a good one. Because I kind of just let him go. You know, he always carried himself like a man. I mean, so
nickname.
Yeah, nickname man.
So a lot of people don't know that. People don't know that.
Nickname
my true nickname, I know people PG-13, PG-8. You know, my true nickname is Man.
Man.
See?
Yeah.
I know all
and
that.
then he was playing with his teammate, Terrence Man, and we wound up telling Terrence's mom, you know, that's you guys' last name, but that's Paul's nickname.
Mm-hmm.
She go, oh, really? I said, yeah. So I don't know. I got to think that one. You got to come back on that one.
People don't know my nickname. My actual nickname is Man. Everybody, cousins, aunt, uncles, family, friends, they don't call me Paul. I might get Lil Paul here and there, but everybody call me Man. I know the backstory, but can you tell the audience, tell everybody here, what was the meaning, or how did Man come about?
Well, when Paul was little, we had other friends too, and then they had kids and they sons, they had sons and stuff. And but Paul was just so much bigger. And so to where I was calling him a man, he was a man over them. And then his mom, oh, that's my little man, and then that name just stuck.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, like I said, he was just all of my friends' sons. Paul was like a giant, and so I would call him a man, and they kids wasn't a man, So that's the way I took it, and I just, and then the name just stuck on him, man.
And it's really, the family is the only people I ever hear call you man.
Sometimes I forget when we're around his friends, I'll be like, oh, man. Paul, but really Man.
Yeah, all my family members. I'm Man to the rest of the world. That's my family, Man.
And then I had a cousin. His name was Man, one of my first cousins. And so Paul is like the second man in the family now. Yeah, but we had another cousin name was Man.
You ain't got no tattoo of that one, huh?
No.
You got to get that one, people, for all the other ones you done got. You should have had the Man one.
I ain't got no nicknames on me, so it ain't like
you got to get that one.
Disrespectful
The family
to the nickname.
one. PG,
that was the connect. Stay close to the action with AT&T. At home or on the go, AT&T keeps you connected to the game you love. We'll be right back after this break.
We want to take a brief break from the episode to let you know that Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 5 million members across the country, it is the most fun and exciting way to get in on the action while you watch your favorite sports and players.
Jackie, you know why I like Prize Picks so much?
Why?
Because, I usually am dabbling in the sports, but every once in a while, I like to switch it up and place some entries on the video games.
I was gonna say the same.
It's fun,
thing.
and then our boy just signed a new contract, CD. So I'm going over every week on CD. Think he deserved it.
I'm going every game.
You did the right thing, Gary.
Yeah, same thing with me, man. I just love Prize Picks because they give you so many dibbles and dabbles. You can do everything. If you want to do it like you said, a video game, some tennis, some cricket. You can go ahead and do it. But like you said, man, I definitely will be doing a lot of over this year with my boy CD Lamb. I don't care. That's just what it is.
You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. So sign up today and get $50 instantly when you just play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed.
Right now, one Caleb Williams passing yard gets you 1 win on Prize Picks every week in September. That's right. Only 1 yard gets you an automatic win every football weekend in September. 4 weeks for free. W's, baby. Don't miss the deal on Prize Picks because it's gone when September ends.
Download the app today and use code PODCASTP to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. So you can start football season by downloading the app today and using the code PODCASTP to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. So Pops, P ends up going to Indiana. I'm sure you're proud. He gets into the NBA, and he always tells the story about when he told his teammates in Indiana that he would be an all-star, and they all just laughed at him. And so I want to know from your perspective, when you first learned that P was going to be an all-star for the first time in 2013, what was that like, and what were you doing when you found that news out?
I don't remember what I was doing, but of course I was excited. I mean, I think that's very special when you make it make it as an all-star. You playing the game that you love, and then you're an all-star of it too. I just think that's over the top, But yeah, I mean, we were all very, very, very proud for him for the, get named, as a all-star.
And you mentioned earlier, like when you got to New York, you weren't used to seeing fans. And it seems like every year till this day that Paul's been in the NBA, he's kind of continued to have an upwards, trajectory of fans. He's had a shoe. He's been in Nike commercials. And for you as a dad, I know you're proud, but what was it like watching that from afar? Like you go to a basketball game and you look around and the fans your last name is on the back of their jerseys. Just kind of walk us through, did it take some time for you to get accustomed to that? And to this day, when you see those jerseys, does it still kind of like, man, that's crazy that, look at all these people wearing my son's jersey.
Well, you said it like it is crazy. But I see it, I'm just tickled. I mean, like I love it. When I look up and I see them wearing his jersey, his number, yelling out his name. Like a lot of times when we were at the game and the fans, they got kind of smart on us. So they know after the game, Paul's going to come over and, hug us, give his mom, a kiss, a hug. So, the fans started gathering up right before the game was over with. So they all be right there. They be, Paul, Paul, Paul. And for him just, because we hear everything. And we be like, shoving each other, me and my wife, like, she like, yeah, like, you hear that? I go, yeah. But we're just tickled from it. I mean, just to hear like the fans holler for him, we've seen some fans crying sometime, Paul, I love you. And they just, and then you look up, tears coming down. And, but I mean, we love it.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned that because one of my favorite things I think it's a superpower because, growing up and when he first got in the league and even for like his friends, it was different too. And I'll never forget like a couple times after the game, Paul would come out and say hello. We'd all be waiting there like when we used to do that. And he'd be like having a conversation with me. And it was hard for me to talk with him because I'm just hearing Paul, Paul, Paul. And somehow he's able to like block it out. And I was like, dude, I'm sorry. I can't have a conversation with you because I'm so distracted by all of these fans. I always tell people that story about like, I don't know how they do it.
I don't know either, but just what you said, we experienced that too. It's like, they Paul, Paul, Paul. And then you be trying to talk to him. You're like, wait a minute, you got about 20, kids back there yelling your name, probably more than that, but they're yelling your name, Paul, 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 And it's like, and then he's talking to you and it's like, huh? What did you just say?
It's funny,
because I'm hearing all these fans back here, speaking of fans, we were out on the boat like the other day, me and Paul and his mom and his son. And kids was in the water swimming and we passing by them. And so we could have been like maybe about 15 yards like away from them.
Okay.
But they noticed Paul. And one of the kids like, is that Paul George? And so I'm still going, and then the other one tell the other one, hey, that's Paul George. Then they start yelling, Paul George. So Paul looks up and does like this. Get out of here. That's Paul freaking George.
We love you.
We love you. I mean, we're like about maybe about 200 yards past them now. And you can still hear them. I don't believe Paul George was on the lake. You know what I mean? And me and the mom, we just, tickled from it. You're like, wow. And then we looked at him, well, you can't go nowhere. So
I'm in the middle of the lake.
Yeah.
But it was funny because the kid he was swimming away from his friends initially. He sees us. He turns around in the water to swim back to his friends. Like,
yeah,
yo, that's Paul George. And it wasn't like they were close. Like he turned around and like
it
was moving to get back to his
probably
friends.
Maybe about 10 kids out there, like in the water. Yeah, and they were just so excited. I'm like, wow, that's crazy. That's crazy. But it was this other time, me and Paul was doing some shopping for like school shopping. And we go downtown. And so I'm letting him get whatever you want to get. He's getting a few things. And so we on our way out. And we passed by this, we walking down the street. I think it was Los Angeles Street or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So we walking, it was between Los Angeles and I think 7th Street. And there's this guy standing up there. He had on a suit, looked like he was from Africa, you know. So he's standing outside like his store. And as we finna walk past him, he steps up to us and he goes, excuse me. And he go, and he asked Paul, he said, excuse me, he said, like, you a basketball player? And so Paul could have been probably about maybe 14. He was still in high school. And so Paul looks at me and I'm like, answer the guy. And Paul said, yeah, I play ball. And then the guy reaches in his jacket and he pulls out like a little card. And he said, if you don't mind, can you sign this for me? And so Paul looks at me and I go ahead, what is it going to hurt anything? So I think that was your first.
That was my first autograph. Yeah.
And then the guy took it and put it back in his pocket and he said, you're going to be a star. And we both walked away and looked at each other like, huh. And to this day right now, I still think about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I don't know if he's seen the future or what, but he straight stopped us. And after Paul signed his card and he said, you're going to be a superstar.
Look at P.
Yeah.
P, do your parents know about you buying holy water?
Nah, they don't. They don't.
Uh-oh.
I don't think moms or pops know that story of me ordering holy water.
Holy water?
Who did we tell that story with?
DeMarcus.
Yeah. Because the infomercials that come on, on TV. And so one night, I'm watching the infomercial, right? And this particular infomercial was, people having the Holy Ghost based off of, this holy water that you can order. So I'm watching this and I'm like, all right, well, it's worth the try. So I call in. I'm like, they talking to me.
Oh, man.
And I think it was all free. I think they mailed me something. I had to fill out information.
It was free.
Yeah. I had to fill out some information. I mailed it back to them. And then maybe like 2 weeks later, they sent me this like little like holy water
sample or
something like that. And so I remember I prayed. I sprinkled the holy water on me. And I was like, all right, what's the worst that can happen?
Yeah.
But my prayer behind it was like, I was like, man, I just want to be an NBA player. Like, I want to be the best basketball player I can be. I want to make it to the NBA. And
was this before you came into the NBA?
Yeah, this before I came in. So I was probably like 15, 16 years old.
At home,
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Mom don't know this.
Oh.
This was funny backstory right here.
Okay.
The holy water.
And
it worked.
It helped. Safe to say, it worked. It definitely worked. But I was like, because I seen it a couple times.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, you know what? This time I'm gonna give it a call. And sure enough,
wow,
it did work. So yeah, shout out to the
holy water.
Shout out to the holy water.
Dude, I need some holy water.
Well, Pops, I hate to take you back down this memory lane because I hate even talking about it sometimes. But one of the toughest moments of your son's career was, of course, when he got injured for Team USA, when he injured his leg. And I know as a parent, of course, you was at the game, so it had to be beyond devastating. But I want to know, when you ran down there on the court and you connected with the injury and seen everything, what was the first thing you said to Pete?
Yeah, that was a tough one there. Well, I when I got down there, I can see that, I can see the whole injury because they hadn't covered it up yet.
Right.
And then someone came up and put like a towel over his leg.
Mm-hmm.
But when I got down there to him, he grabbed me, and he ain't never squeezed my hand like that ever. And I'm looking at him like, hey, if you want to let out a tear or something, it's okay. Go on and do it. But he was just like, Dad, I need something. I'm in pain. I said, yeah, I know, son. I can do. And we just trying to hurry up and get, something going. But it looked like it took maybe about good 30 minutes before they got him up off the floor. And then we were scrambling around to see what hospital to bring him to. Mm-hmm. We were almost at one hospital, and they were like, no. And they turn around, and we following him. And so they go across the other town of Vegas. So we gets in there, and of course they give him something for pain now, and they getting ready for bring him into surgery, and so he was kind of slowly, like the medicine was starting to work in, and his agent Aaron, for some reason he got Mr. Bryant on the phone, Kobe, and so he gives the phone to Paul. And so him and Paul is talking on the phone, and then when he gets done, he said, guess who I was talking to? I'm like, who? He's laying there, he's smiling down. And he said, I just got to talking to Kobe Bryant. Really? Like, okay. And then after that, they wheeled him in. But you had every NBA player that was in the hospital. They were all there. Mm-hmm. I mean, they were all in the hallway. Everybody was there. So when it come to NBA love, I do see it. When one of they ones is down, they all stick. Afterwards, everything, the surgery, and I think he was in there about a couple of days before they let you come home. We gets home, and I never forget this. We gets home, and he helps him in the room, and he had a lot of stairs at his house. And he gets up there, and he gets in his room, and I sets him down in there. He gets situated in there, and then he calls me later on and said, Dad, I comes in there. He said, can you help me downstairs? I go, well, what do you want? I go get it. He said, no, I want you to help me downstairs. Well, he had his own little private basketball court. Mm. And now he just getting home from surgery, got crutches and all that. And I'm like, so I helps him downstairs. We gets down there on the, like on the gym, and he go, well, I want to shoot the ball. You just give it to me. And I go, huh? And I'm over here trying not to tear up because I'm like, come on, you shouldn't be thinking about basketball right now. Right. Let's try and get this working. And I sit there. We were out there about a good hour maybe. He would shoot the ball, sitting down. I would give it back to him. Then like, okay, let me go back upstairs and put him back in his room. But that was a tough one because I didn't know what the outcome was going to be, Right. But yeah, that was a nightmare. Mm-hmm. That was a definitely nightmare. I wouldn't wish that on nobody.
Mm-hmm. Well, P, I got to ask you. I don't care. What did Kobe Bryant say to you on that phone call?
Yeah.
What did he say?
He was just like, obviously he was just showing his support. He was like, if you need anything from me, I'm here. I'm in this with you. But he was just like, he was like, the rehab is going to be tough, right? The work is going to be hard. And he was like, nobody wants to rehab. Because this was the first time I've ever been injured.
Broke anything.
Broke anything. I fucked my ankle up in college, but it didn't require surgery. It just was time off. So this was like first injury I ever had that required surgery. And he was just like, the work going to be tedious. It's going to be tiresome. You're not going to want to do it. But he was like, my advice is to attack rehab the same way you attack working out on the court. He was like, you find fun in working out on the basketball court. You got to find that same fun for the rehab. No other way you're going to get through it is just attack rehab like you attack the basketball court. And that took me a long ways because instantly I knew everything he said leading up to it, right? How hard it is, the tedious work it takes, doing the same shit day after day. Like, that gets exhausting. You know what I mean? And so if he didn't tell me that and warn me ahead of time, then my mind kind of would have been all over the place of like not all the way there, trying to do this, not giving it 100%. But he kind of warned me on that. And so the second end of that, of attacking it like basketball, I was like, all right, he said it was going to be tedious, but now I got to just give it everything I got every time I work out. And so that was kind of the breakthrough. You know what I mean? That was the breakthrough. But, you know, I was surreal about the call. Like, and I'm still drugged up.
Who was the first
I'm still drugged up.
Aaron.
Aaron.
I'm still like drugged up too. So like, I was probably like, yo, cold.
You smiling.
What's up, man?
Okay.
You trying to hoop? You trying to one-on-one? Laying in the bed. But yeah, about the support of just league guys, man, it was so many people reaching out through phone. I know there was people there at the hospital. Floyd came every day.
He came there. I mean, he said, forget the hospital food.
Yeah.
And he brung,
shout out Floyd, man.
I mean,
literally,
he brung all soul food in Vegas.
Floyd was at the hospital every day.
The floor smelling like you was at Mama's kitchen.
Floyd was at the hospital every day.
Floyd pulled up at least, I was at the hospital maybe 6-7 days.
Yeah, maybe
Floyd
a week.
Probably came 3 or 4 days out of that. Like, P, I'm gonna come. I'll be back tomorrow. I'm gonna come check on you. Next day come, he was there.
Yeah,
a fresh plate.
Yeah,
soul food, man. So big shout out to Floyd, man. Floyd was.
Y'all see his fight this weekend?
I saw they said
I watched highlights. I watched highlights of it.
He fought Gotti again. He fired the ref.
I thought he was still retired.
Yeah.
So these are all unofficial now. He'll do exhibition fights.
Oh,
so this is
Get a little some of
he's
this.
smart, man. He's smart.
He's a smart guy.
But
he's
he
smart.
fired the referee. He like disagreed with one of the calls.
It was a bad call though.
As a ref and brought in another.
I saw
another ref.
That's how you do it.
It was a bad call. He threw a hook. It connected like. It wasn't a back of the head shot.
Right.
The ref tried to say it was he hit him in the back of the head. It was a clean hook. Floyd like, man, get out. Get out of here.
Shout out to the champ.
Wow.
Man.
The champ.
That's crazy.
Pops, you mentioned though that you were unsure what was next after seeing the injury and seeing where P's been able to take his basketball career since that injury. Did you learn anything new about your son during that time?
Yeah, he don't take no for like an answer. He don't let nothing get in his way. That I did learn from him. I mean, I sit back and I'm like, wow, he is not giving up. 'Cause me, I was ready to. I would have been still crying. You know, I mean, from that injury, I would have been. I mean, but. Hey, they be like, what is wrong? That happened 15 years ago. Why are you still crying?
Eyes would have been closed for a week.
Still hurt. Yeah, you know what I mean?
It's out of the pain.
But no, I think it made him more stronger. He had a good reason for the throw like the towel in. I mean, he could have stopped, but he didn't. He didn't. When that happened, I was like, oh. Dang, he might have to look into doing something else now. You know,
I think when like initially, you know, before we got the news, and just how God works with me, you know, obviously my mom was praying up for me, and to hear the best news that we could get that it was a clean break, no ligaments, no. No vein, no ligaments, no cartilage was torn. Like it was just straight bone. I think that was the best outcome that we could have had on that situation. And so, you know, the doctor was like, bone is bone. It's going to heal back together. You're going to be back fine. So I think that gave me room to bring positive
back into
it, right? Because I was negative to like, man, like I'm done. Like, you know, I done built up so much steam and then now it's just gone.
Yeah.
And so them saying it was a clean break and the bone will heal, that was room for me to be like, all right, like let's go get it. Now I'm ready for the next steps of recovering. But the doubt was there initially. The doubt was there for sure initially of who I was gonna be. And it was still there. I knew I would be back because of it was just bone on bone. So I knew I would be back playing. But at that point, at what level, you know, am I still gonna be at the level that I was when I left? Or am I just gonna be, you know, a shell of it and have to alter my game tremendously? Am I gonna be able to play defense like I used to, or blow by people, or, you know, jump like I used to? All of it took a little hit. Obviously, I know the athlete I was and where I was at coming back. I wasn't the athlete coming back. But from the naked eye, like outside looking in, I'm close to where, you know, I was at before the injury. But no, it was definitely some hard times on, I'm not sure of I'll ever play this game at the same level that I used to.
But just piggyback on what he was saying, with the doctors, they kind of helped too. You know, they kind of helped us
see the end of the tunnel.
Yeah. And so they started telling us, you know, because it was like a good break, you know, that his leg would be better, you know, and so that kind of, like he said, that did give up like a lot of hope. Well, maybe I can get back out there. Maybe I can, you know, maybe not lose like a big step, you know. But his first game back, that was the game when you know, his first game when he came back and played. I mean, just the fans alone. I mean, everybody was on their feet. Right. You know, they was happy for to see him back. So yeah, that was I mean, that I never forget. I mean, to me, it was like him winning something. You know, I mean, when he walked back out there, when the coach put him out, and he didn't play much. He just went out and played a little bit. And I'm saying to myself, maybe Paul gonna be back. You know,
he played good in that game too. It was against Miami.
Yeah,
I'll never forget. Man.
Yeah, which is fitting. Miami was the team that, you know, gave us the most trouble, and that was the game back. And I think I debuted a new number, 13 at that point. Yeah, I think I scored 13 that night. And so it was a lot that I remember just from that moment. Fans was going crazy. You know, it was a surreal.
Yes. Yep.
Surreal moment.
Pops, we seen you at the Philly. I'm gonna call it the Philly pitch meet. Call it the Philly pitch meet. And everyone showed up, including one of your favorites in the world. I'm gonna say this now because you told us basically today Dr. J is your favorite player. Dr. J showed up to the pitch meet, and I just want to know, what was your first reaction when you see Dr. J trying to get your son? And then I got to know, did you wear your Stacey Adams?
I did have on some Stacey's. But it was funny because when I seen Doctor, I'm looking at him, I'm like, man, I thought you could be taller. You know, I think I was taller than him. You know, and I'm saying, dang, why I can't jump like you? You know what I'm saying? But of course, it was like me meeting Superman or somebody. You know, I mean, back in the day, Dr. J was the man. I mean, I don't care how you look at it. You talk about basketball, he was the man. You know, when you out there, and then back then everybody had froze. So you step on the court, everybody was Dr. J, you know, Dr. J. So when I seen him in person, I was like, man, you just don't know, you know, you was my man, you know what I'm saying? And for him to come and reach out to my son, and then he started talking about before he got his championship, he was missing that missing piece. And when they got it, and that's when they won.
Yeah, what was it? Moses.
Moses, yeah. And so he stated to Paul, he said, hey, this is our missing piece right here. And so I was like, wow. I said, that's coming from Dr. J, you know. But I can't wait to, you know, when the season get going and I know I rub a little bit more elbows with him. Yeah, get to sit. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I get it.
And the first thing I had asked him, you know about the sandwiches out there. And he was like, Philly, for the Philly. He said, well, you know, I can take you to some, but you know, but we did try like a few of them out there. I don't know where they went and got them sandwiches from. Maybe Walmart or something. It didn't have no Philly love. But I can't wait to really, you know, dig into a good down-to-earth Philly cheese sandwich out there.
How did you feel, Pop, when PG left LA and said, I'm going to Philly?
Wow. It was hurting. I mean, it was like I felt like they stabbed us in the back, you know, because I thought Paul did a whole lot for the team. Far as in the fan base, the fans was there. He was there. I think he gave them 110%. And what he was asking, it wasn't a whole lot.
Right.
You know, but they seen something different. Now, but I didn't want him just to take anything. You know, so his whole thing, he does stand up for what he believes in. And so he felt that was, you know, that was a bunch of bull that they came at him with. And I wasn't going to sugarcoat it either. You know, I'm like, yeah, you know, I'm behind you 100%. You know, you got to leave, we're going to leave.
Yep.
You know, and of course, you know, it kind of put us in a little bump and grind, but hey, you know, it's all good. It's all good. It's all good.
It's all good.
It's all good.
Little bump and grind.
Bump and grind, but hey, it's all good.
You know, you love being at home, but then sometime home could, you know, kind of slow you down.
And that's what I was going to ask you, with him being here all his life and all that, and he's home now,
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't one of them moments, look, just take what they're giving, boy.
No,
Just
it was like,
Yeah.
I know.
Give
Come
what
on
you
his
deserve.
toes a little bit. Go.
No, it was more
It's-
get what you deserve.
Yes.
I love that.
Yes,
I
he
love
put in
that.
work for it, and I felt that he should have got paid for
And
it.
you're right.
Mhm.
He did a
So-
lot. I'd say even more, 120%.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm
Mhm.
with you.
And so that, you know, like we didn't stutter about it. You know, we didn't, you know, but let me think about it. Like, what? They come at you like this?
Mm.
Right.
Oh, no, you got to go. You know,
You got to go.
I was looking at, okay, well, we're going to go next door then. But they already spent too much money. You know what I'm saying? You know what? You know, we're going to still come down in the tunnel. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be wearing a different color. You know what I'm saying?
Pete,
no.
before I ask this, have we ever shared the Father's Day story on this podcast?
No,
Because
we
we gotta share the Father's Day that all of us were a part of, and I'll start it, and then I'm gonna let you
Lord,
finish
let's
it.
talk
So
about
Pete gives me a ring and goes, "Hey, like, you know,
You were there
tomorrow's
too,
Father's Day, and I want to take, you know, all the dads fishing." And I'm like, "Dude, that's awesome." And I think it was a Sunday, and my dad loves to fish. I'm like, "Dude, I don't think my dad can make it.
Thank
He's
God.
preaching." Thank God. So he's like, "Bro, just still come." So there was probably 12 of us
I got
plus
that
the
picture.
fathers.
Yeah.
The picture.
And we go down to Marina Del Rey early morning, and we're gonna start fishing. I'll just finish the story. And so we're ocean fishing, and most of us, I think, are accustomed to lake fishing.
Mm-hmm.
So we're all excited, early morning, all the dads. It's like, what a better way to spend
Right,
Father's Day.
right.
I'm low-key hurt. My dad can't make it. I'm
Yeah.
looking like, man, this would have been such a good memory. Sounded like a great idea.
Yeah.
And man, we take off in the boat, And it probably took 3 minutes, 5 minutes. And when I tell you that 80% of everyone on that boat, including his dad, who this is P's dad. It's his trip. He's trying to do something well. This guy is hanging over the side of the boat. And the 80% of the boat was throwing up, and then I'm like, P, are we gonna go? He's like, nope, we gotta go fishing. And man, they were gassed out, throwing up. Though I felt bad for you guys. Pops.
It was hilarious because like, you know, I'm riding like I rode with my dad. You know, I rode with my dad there. So like, we talking about it like. We gonna go fish. We gonna catch some fish. We gonna go deep sea. I think this is like my first time really going deep sea fishing. So I'm looking forward to it, right? So, we started off, and they start taking us out. And like, I don't know, maybe 45 minutes into it, we get to our first stop, right? So they baiting up all our lines. I see my dad grab here, so I'm like, I'm gonna go fish right next to my dad. So we drop our poles down. He dropped it one time. Dropped the pole, left it there.
Nah, but the killer part was I was telling all of the dads because, like that boat was serving food, they was cooking
some sandwiches and
sandwiches and all
stuff
that.
at the bottom.
Yeah.
So I'm telling most of them, I think that was their first time going out.
That was my first time.
Yeah, and I think like your dad too. I think it was
in the deep dive. Yep.
So I'm talking to him. I think YT's dad was there. I'm telling him. I said, "Yeah, I want y'all stay away from the food because it might make you sick." And so they like, "Oh, okay, thank you." And I'm like, "Okay." So we getting out, and I can see like the land's getting further and further and further. So I'm starting to feel it now, but I'm not trying to say nothing. So all of a sudden, the captain said, okay, we're going to, stop here. We're going to, like he said, I threw mine out. When I cast, I can feel something coming up. And I said, oh no, this is not good. So I set my pole down and I had already knew that I was done. So I'm trying to find me a spot now where I can get out of everybody's way. So I ease on to the front.
Yep.
And when I got to the front, and it wasn't long that I had company.
Bro.
Yeah, a lot of company.
Everyone was throwing up.
But every time I go deep sea fishing, I get sick. Every time. I don't care what I take. If I take
you have a patch or anything?
pills,
Don't they have patches for it? Or
they got everything. I didn't try everything. But every time I go deep sea fishing, I get sick.
Man.
I don't know why. Maybe it was the smell from the ocean.
It was at least like 7, 8 of y'all. Like it was a whole, because it was three decks, right? It was the main deck, the lower was the kitchen, and then they had an upper deck. It was like a whole group designated at the top of just they laying down. Like,
and it was tough for us because I was low key feeling it too, like fighting it, like you are not throwing up. But it's hard when you're looking over to your left and right and you just see people vomiting over the side of the boat for an hour.
And then you could just hear everybody like celebrating catching fish, but you just
I'm sitting there like I can't wait till we get to the bank. I had to use the restroom, right? And I first of all, I'm all like I'm in a ball. And I'm like, okay, I gotta get up and I gotta try to make it over here to this restroom. So it took me about 30 minutes just to think about getting up. So when I got up, I'm walking and the boat just seemed like the boat was just really rocking. So I gets in the restroom and the door hits me and pushes me. And when the door pushed me, I falls on the floor. But now I can't get up. And the waves got me. I mean, it sounded like somebody was in there fighting. I mean, I stayed in there about a good hour trying to, do what I had to do and come out of there. And man, when I came out, it looked like, it was, I had some accidents in there. I'm like, man, I should have wore me some dun-dun-duns on this one. Some pull-ups or something,
Some pull-ups.
So I felt like we had to share that story. But Pops, we always encourage our guests at the end of every episode to ask P a question.
Mm-hmm.
And so I want to know, what's your question for P as you continue to watch him grow as a player, grow as a father, and grow as a man?
I think he's doing well, doing what he's doing. Just keep doing what you're doing. Take care of yourself, and just stay positive. It's a lot of negative stuff out there. Just stay positive, and positive is going to keep you going over the top. But yeah, I just keep doing what he's doing. I mean, I think he's doing well. So I don't want to take him away from, I think he's doing good. I'm very proud of him. Very proud of him.
There we go.
He's using that name well, ain't he?
He's making me proud.
Come on.
Making me proud.
Gotta do it then. Paul George. That's it. There you go, man. Hey, Pops, we appreciate you coming on the show. That is the episode. And you did great. I know you was nervous coming into it. You did great.
Thank you.
It's going to be a great episode. We had a lot of fun. Y'all stay tuned. Podcast P.